it's very, very rare that a couple will choose it. And it indicates a few things. First and foremost, Frederick and Deirdre, you don't know the book of Tobit. Because if you had, you would never have chosen this reading. Love it. Get a Bible, read it. You see, why is Tobiah praying to God on his wedding night? Well, his wife, his Sarah, has been married 7 times before. Yes. And on her wedding night, every groom, all 7 of them, died. This brings us to our first point. Goodbye, Frederick. No, it's been great. I'm sure the orchestra will miss you. Brings us to our first point, and that is something went wrong with God's beautiful plan for marriage. It began to get all messed up. The great fall of mankind, that thing that shows up in the newspapers as hatred and violence and wars, and racisms and prejudices, those things that crept into his creation began to creep into every aspect of it, including marriage. And it's such today that marriage is indeed on the rocks. Literally, you can marry a rock. But Tobiah is right. And Frederick and Deirdre never forget that if a river is cut off from its source, it can only run for so long before it dries up. And all along, as the last waters run, the river is dying. It must remain hooked to the source if it's going to be alive, vital. Tobiah is right. The source of life, the source of marriage, the creator, the composer of marriage, God, must be there with his power and his grace to help you through all that will come in your life, all that will come at you from life, if you're going to have not only a lasting marriage, but a happy marriage. Stay hooked to the source. Stay hooked to God. Prayer together. Prayer with the church. Prayer in your homes. Reading over and over again the book of Tobit from beginning to end. Meditating on it. Stay hooked to the source. It is God's power that can overcome the brokenness that has crept into his creation. And this is why, brothers and sisters, we come to God at marriage. So important and so sacred a moment. Now, everyone knows that an architect, when he designs something, or a composer, when they compose, has in their mind the finished product, what they want. They want to compose this house or build this house and compose this music, and when it's finished, when it pleases the author, the work is called complete. And in the design of marriage, God has put several elements. Elements that will help you understand what is going on today. And the first is, it is not a contract. It is not a getting together to share mutual energies. It is not a living together and sharing lives. It is a bond. A bond that only occurs with love. And what is that love? That love is first and foremost a giving. Brothers and sisters, Frederick and Deirdre, marriage is a giving, not a getting. Deirdre, you will give yourself to Frederick, and Frederick to Deirdre. And it is in the giving that the both of you will receive. It is in the giving away of yourselves, the other who accepts that gift and returns the gift of their self to you, that the bond takes place, and the two become one flesh only. And you live a new life, taking life from each other even as you give life to each other. But it must be first a giving. If the getting creeps in, we have a problem. You see, how many of you have heard that lie that marriage is 50-50? Let's put it to rest. That's a bunch of bullshit, people. Marriage is 100-100. Nobody wants 50% of anybody. You give yourself completely to each other, and it's in the constant giving that you have the constant receiving. When the 50-50 starts, when the calculation, how much I put in, when is it my turn, what am I getting out of this, when the I comes back, the ego, your marriage is over. How many of you know that? Frederick and Deirdre, everything you need for a joy-filled life, a happy marriage, you have here today, each other. You don't need the Lincoln Continental and the 15-bedroom house and the 4,000 slice toaster and all that other stuff, the furs and the rings. You don't need them. I'm going to tell you, you can be living under a bridge and still be happily married. Your lives may not be happy, but your marriage can be perfect. Because all you need is each other. When we get lost in those things, you promised me an apartment 6 years ago, and here we are still in this apartment. No, I promised to give myself to you, and I'm doing that. And you promised to give yourself to me. The rest, if you have it, I hope you will have the car and the furs and the diamonds. But it's not necessary for a happy marriage. The day you guys set your hearts on those things, we're lost. If I have all knowledge, all prophecy, if I have faith to move mountains, if I own every fur in New York City, if I travel to the best restaurants, if we go all over the world tasting its wonders, but we do not have love, we're nothing. We're a gong clanging, a clashing of the cymbal. We have nothing. Remember that. It's not in what you have. It's in the giving to yourselves, in each other. Christ told you in your gospel to love as he loved, and he loved by laying down his life for the other, by giving up his that we might live. And therein there may be a little stumbling block for you, and that is this. You may think that it is your job to lay down your life for the other. That's not exactly true. It is your job to give your life completely, totally, 100% to the other. But it's not that sort of thing that we do where, oh, Frederick needs to go to New Orleans and live there because they've hired him. I have a job here, but I've got to give up my position and go with Frederick's job. Or it's not like Deirdre is, wants to do this, she wants to go back to school, we don't have enough money, but she wants to do that, so I'll take a second job and I'll give up some of the other things that we were hoping on. So no. How many of you are doing that, and you hate it? You hate it. That's when the eyes creep in. I laid down my life for you, you didn't do a thing. You got your degree, where are you? Never home, never around. No. Let me tell you a little story. When I was living in France, I was marrying an international couple. She was from Poland, and he was from France. And they both had excellent jobs. She worked for France Telecom in a very high position, and he was well-placed at a bank. And when Poland regained its independence, one of the things they did, the government did, was they went around the world trying to pull back the intellectuals, the intelligentsia that had fled Poland during the communist regime. Its doctors and its engineers and so forth and so on. Well, she was scouted out to head up the new Polish telecom. It was a few months before their wedding. Now they had to make a decision. Were they going to move to Poland so that she could have this position, which meant a lot of influence, a lot of travel, a lot of diplomats to meet and all this other sort of thing, the parties and all that, or were they going to remain in France, where she had been living for a while? So I said to them, well, you have to make this decision before the wedding. You can't have this. And when I went back to see them before the wedding, they said, we've made our decision. We're going to stay here in France. Why? Well, he speaks French and I speak French. He only knows the French culture. I know both. We both have jobs here. He would not have a job here, there. I've been away from family for a long time. He's never been away. So we decided it would be too much strain on our marriage right now. Not the career, not the position move, not the upscale ladder, not the increased salary. The marriage was important. And this is the point. Frederick and Deirdre, it's not about the other alone. It's about us. From this day forward, please think as a couple. Not what is right for Frederick or what is right for Deirdre. What is best for us? What would be the right thing for our couple, for our marriage, for our love? What is best for us? The eyes disappear. The other disappears. We are one flesh, one being, one person. What is best for us? How many of you, if you had done that, would be happy today? In-laws, we do have to speak to you.